I wish you all could have met my dad when he was alive. He's just an awesome guy. He was also very embarrassed about things, and he was brought up uber conservative, country Christian. And I can remember, we watched some 80s movie, I can't remember what it is, and they mentioned a hard-on. I just looked at my dad and I go, Dad, what's a hard-on? He's like, I don't know. Newsflash, the majority of the parents don't really talk a lot about it. General consensus, the talk doesn't work. Matter of fact, parents who do report engaging in conversations, a majority will only do one specific talk. Communication is often reportedly negative. It's behavioral. It's all about what you do and what you don't do. And punitive. If you have sex, you're going to get pregnant and you're going to what? Die. That's right. They say that conversation begins when your kids can hear your voice and they can talk back. The minute they're aware of their bodies and they're aware of their siblings' bodies, that's when it begins, right? Now, it doesn't mean you start going and talking about positions and stuff. That's not it. What it means is, it's develop. Come on, you're going to have to get with it. We're going to talk about this. She wasn't recording this, so that's good. Obviously, though, it's developmentally appropriate. A lot of parents who've heard this message before from me or whoever, they get to the point where they're like, oh my gosh, my kid's 15. I never talked to them about this stuff. I'm screwed. And they're going to go and all the bad things are going to happen. Research says that even beginning that conversation late in the game has a positive effect, typically.
So you can do that at 15, but if you start at 3, it's a lot more normalized.
Yeah. Using the proper terms of the anatomy, right? Like I think for some adults, and I'll just use my parents, for example, right? When I was coming up, we did have sex ed. We had those classes. So when I brought that permission slip home and it was signed, Mom and Dad were like, yep, she's good. Because she's getting this information from another source. We don't have to touch it. Although there was a conversation which did not steer me away from sex. Right? So,
yeah.
And same as you, my parents are amazing parents. They did the best that they could with the knowledge that they had and how they were raised and imparting things, words of wisdom to us. It didn't stop me, and it certainly didn't expose me to the emotional ties to any type of intimacy, sex, whatever that may be. So when we're not having the ongoing conversation and we're not starting early enough, it is a detriment.
Maybe when I was like 11 or 12, we were in the car going to my grandmother's house, and it was super late, and some random condom commercial came on the radio, and I was like, and my mom took that opportunity to like talk about whenever you love someone, use a condom. And then we get to my grandmother's house, and she was like, oh yeah, it's a rubber. And my mom was like, don't say that, say condom. I want her to think love and commitment. I want to get it on. And that was the first time we ever talked about it, but it was like a family discussion, which made it normal.
Yeah.
And then, like, if we watched movies where, like, there was a teen mom, my mom would be like, wow, that seems hard, doesn't it? And I'm like, yeah. So now I'm like, Mom, you did so well that I don't want to have kids now.
One research article said this: when parents' discomfort is perceived by teens, the communication is less effective. Now, I don't know any parent who doesn't feel awkward on the inside. There's skills to be taught. Being okay that you don't have all the answers to things. Having the answer of, you know what, I don't know that, but I'll either find out or we'll find out together or we'll figure it out, that kind of thing. Everything you do is socializing. It's modeling. So your discomfort translates. Your embarrassment translates. Your transparency, which is a good thing, will translate. There's a lot of research on shame-filled communication. Shame-filled communication impacts the way children engage in sexual decision-making. In other words, it leads to riskier behavior. This is big. They might also be sending a message to their children that sex is gross, bad, or taboo, therefore contributing to demeaning children and making of sexuality. Parents' punitive and uncomfortable responses to sexual topics may ultimately propel messages of sexual shame and silence into future generations. Young people actually report wanting more communication with parents about sex. Your kids aren't going to tell you this. They're not going to go, Mother, please tell me more about sex. They're not going to do it. You know, there's a positive link between open communication between parents and kids about sex, and then the satisfaction with sexual communication in their current romantic relationships. In other words, when they had good, healthy, open communication about sex when they were kids from their parents, they tend to have good, healthy, open communication with their spouses or partners as far as their sexual relationships. And the research says time and time again that how open you are about vulnerable topics such as sex is a huge factor in satisfaction of your overall relationship and how far it's going to go. Children who receive open communication may develop healthy working models for sex communication, and thus will go on to display higher levels of open and comfortable sex communication with both future partners and their children. Positive relationships and closeness between parents and children are associated with more open communication about sexual topics, as well as delayed sexual debut and safer sex behavior